program and make it a blow up. And anyone that has resources, because I'm the only person that has ventured this program or has I don't know how to say this, but the drive to want to better our communities. Right.
Well, you're a hero. You're a hero for that, Chad.
Yeah.
Right. So the name of your organization again is Meals with a Friend, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So
and we have a website and everything, and because that was helped with by Eve, and so we've talked about this before, and just to support that, because it takes like the saying that I love to refer to is, it takes a village to raise a child.
Indeed.
It takes a community to raise someone, or to raise a person, or help someone. So, and I believe that we can do this together. And I'm not. I don't want. I have what I need to keep myself safe and living well. So I don't need anything besides connections and learning stuff, because I love learning and growing and being better.
Well, these are the kinds of things that, see, you're thinking about not just yourself, though, Chad, obviously. You're thinking about the community, and that's what it takes. So just as a reminder, Chad's organization is called Meals with a Friend. In fact, you can find the link to his organization and the link tree in my bio. And again, thank you to Chad. Thank you to Eve Armad, who helped Chad build the website. This is what it takes, friend. I appreciate you, Chad, for being here. I love talking to you about this kind of stuff, and thank you for the work that you're doing, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got it. Have a good day.
You too.
That's the kind of stuff, friends. So if you have a small business, I want to shout out to some friends that I've made on TikTok who sent me some of their craft, some of their woodworking. They sent it as a gift to my family. And these are small businesses that are under threat in our country right now. They've always been under threat for a variety of reasons, just because of the dominance of corporate capitalism and how revenues have just shifted, as we've discussed many, many times. But I'm gonna play some sound to kind of help level set here as we get into the conversation specifically about small businesses. And I just want to remind folks that we are in the midst of we're really going to start to feel the impact of tariffs. And I'll get into that in just a second, but I just want to kind of go back in time a little bit, because as we've seen the stock market crater, losing 6,000 points, a slight rebound, but we know the reason that's rebounding is because of things like this that the president has just recently said. This is very interesting. Now, again, keep in mind, as we discuss a lot, the people with capital are the ones who can acquire more capital. So this is a narcissistic billionaire attempting to soothe the mind and calm the nerves of the American public who's losing everything.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. If we get that. If you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. If it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. You better go out and buy stock.
So the message is, go out and buy stock. I'm not in a position to go out and buy stock. Nope. In fact, a lot of small businesses leverage everything they have to start their small businesses. Taking out second mortgages, taking out home equity lines of credit, cashing in 401ks, pensions, retirements. That's what I did to get my small business off the ground. And, again, it's just the lack of self-awareness that the American, the majority of people who understand the basic elements of capitalism, entrepreneurial capitalism, are so fed up with, people like him. That's why we say eat the rich. Here's an example of the lies that the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon is. So this is what he had to say just 29 minutes ago on True Social.
The problem with even a tiny tax increase for the rich in all caps, which I and all others would graciously accept in order to help the lower and middle income workers, is that the radical left Democrat lunatics would go around screaming, "Read my lips," the fabled quote by George Bush the elder that is said to have cost him the election. No. Ross Perot cost him the election in any event. Republicans should probably not do it, but I'm okay if they do. This began, the problem with even a tiny tax increase for the rich, and it closes with, Republicans should probably not do it, but I'm okay if they do.
Well, we already know from the Tax Cut and Job Act the impact that the Tax Cuts and Job Act had on the middle class and small businesses, for example, and he just wants to do it again. So, okay. So, and then here's some other interesting things that the president wanted to say about the impact of cargo and freight coming into our country. This is also quite disturbing.
The ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
That means we lose less money. When I see that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can, I'd like to say they can do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and, give people something that they've never had, access to something. That'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses. And I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant.
Okay. We've saved trillions of dollars. No, you're putting small businesses out of business is what you're doing. And he follows that up on True Social by saying, China should open up its market to USA. Would be so good for them. Closed markets don't work anymore. I know, the gaslighting, right, Francis? So that's his general overall, thoughts and feelings towards small businesses. So let's get into some of the data around small businesses in the United States. So in the U.S., a small business is generally defined as an independently owned. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Please come on up if you've got a small business. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to give you an opportunity to promote what it is that you do, or if you work for a small business, and I'll give you some guidelines as to what is determined to be a small business in the U.S. In the U.S., a small business is generally defined as an independently owned and operated firm with fewer than 500 employees. This definition is used by the U.S. SBA, the Small Business Administration, and is also widely accepted. Is also the widely accepted standard. The SBA's definition is used to determine eligibility for government contracts and other financial assistance programs. Independent ownership and operation. A small business is not owned or controlled by other businesses. These are the classifications. Employee count. The number of employees is a key factor in determining small business status, generally below 500 employees. Industries. Not dominant in its field. A small business should not be a dominant player in its industry. Affiliate businesses. The SBA considers the number of employees of affiliated businesses when determining small business status. I don't want to debate you, sorry. And then size standards tool. The SBA's size standards tool helps businesses determine if they qualify as small. And then NAICS codes, a North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS codes, are used to classify businesses and determine the appropriate size standards. So those are just kind of a general overview. It's basically comes down to revenue and the size, the amount of employees, and then within those industries, there are some variables. Okay. I'll look at small businesses in the U.S. Most U.S. adults, this is from Pew Research, most U.S. adults or 86%, say small businesses have a positive effect on the way things are going in the country these days. Small businesses, in fact, receive by far the most positive reviews of any of the 9 U.S. institutions that we asked about, outranking even the military and churches. Now, again, small business owner here too, Mac. If you want to come up and talk about your small business, feel free to request. Think about that for a second, right? For a second. 86% of Americans, 86% of Americans, so this is not a political question, right? So 86% of Americans have a positive and favorable view on small businesses. By far the most positive of any of the 9 U.S. institutions that were asked about, including the military and churches. And yet, here we are. Here we are with Republican politics and Republican economic plans that for 40 years have been cutting funds to make monies and programs available to small business owners. Even though the overwhelming majority of Americans believe in the idea of a small business. Despite their name, small businesses loom large in the U.S. These businesses defined here as those with 500 employees or fewer. They account for 99.9% of all U.S. firms. Again, small businesses in America, 500 employees or less, 99.9% of all firms. While most of these 33 million firms don't have paid employees, meaning some are volunteer, some are owners, right? 6 million of them do. They account for just under half of total private sector employment, or 48%. 48% of all employees in our country work for a small business, okay? Here's a look at some of the small businesses in the USA. Just how small are small? Among the roughly 6 million small businesses with employees, meaning that, again, independent operators like myself, there's a lot of small businesses, 20 plus million, that are just one person shop. Among the roughly 6 million small businesses with employees, 49% have just 1 to 4 workers, according to the latest estimates from the census. About a quarter, 27%, have between 5 and 19 employees. 8% have 20 to 99, and just 1% have 100 to 499 workers. So the classification by the SBA and the census is 500 or less, but just 1% have between 100 and 499 workers. So the other 99% of small businesses, again, are independent operators and or small. They employ between 20 and 99, between 1 and 99 people. The bulk of our country. The bulk of the American citizenry works for small businesses, and then 99.9% of all businesses are considered small businesses. The remaining 14% had paid employees at some point during the year, but not during a particular payroll period, which is what this study was done. Overall, small businesses employed an estimated 56.4 million workers in 2022 and brought in over $16.2 trillion in revenue. Perhaps unsurprisingly, small businesses with more employees tend to account for larger shares of overall revenue than those with fewer workers. So I'll pause there. I'll bring up Alexis, and everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. This small business enterprise that we're part of today. Support your local business. Good morning, Alexis.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. Safe space here.
Well,
What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry, I got a phone call.
What's on your mind, Alexis?
Well, I am a small business owner.
Excellent.
I am very, very small. It is just me. I'm a one-woman show. I am an artist. I create pet portraits for pet owners. Yes, it has always been my dream to work with animals. And when I lost my job in, I believe it was 2020, I started, drawing pet portraits, and I saw that it got some attention, and yeah, it's been history ever since. I love what I do.
how do you promote your business?
So I am mainly on Instagram because there's a lot of pet parents that have Instagram accounts for their pets.
True.
And they get art for their pets page. So yeah, I'm mainly on Instagram. My business is Hops and Bean Co. So yeah.
So hops. So we want to spell that for folks so people can find it.
HOPS, and then the ampersand thing.
Mm-hmm.
BEAN.co.
There you go. Hops and Bean Co. Friends. So that would be then you primarily. Do you have a website or you just do it through Instagram?
I do have a website. It's hopsbeanco.com.
Hopsbeanco.com, friends.
Yep.
So again, and how long have you been in business for yourself? Well, I should say for yourself and then with yourself, obviously.
I would say, so I started doing it like as a side job in 2020. And then I think 2021 is really when I got super serious about it. So I'd say about 4 years.
And how's it going so far?
Oh, got another phone call. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It's been going, so last year was probably my best year. This year it's been pretty tough. But I can feel it creeping in to getting a little bit better. So I'm trying to keep the positivity. I'm trying to market different areas, kind of go out of my comfort zone a little bit. So yeah.
Well, I love that. First of all, I talk to my kids about this a lot. If you can find something that you truly, truly love to do, that you're passionate about it, and you can make a living doing it, then it's not work. It's passion. Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I do not feel I'm with my people, animal lovers. That is my passion, and it does not feel like work. There are things that are a part of it. Like,
sure.
I have to do the marketing. That's something that I'm not, super in love with. I have to have ambassadors for my brand. And I'm not very confrontational, so having to set boundaries has been really hard, but it's something that I've learned, and it's been something crucial that I've learned throughout owning a business. So silver lining.
Well, exactly. Well, Alexa, I happen to know somebody who's had a long career in marketing and promotions. That would be me. If you're willing, I would be happy to kind of reach out. Maybe we can chat. Maybe I can help you out with some certain things. Nothing crazy. But if you have interest, I'd be happy to try to help.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah, I would be open to that for sure.
Okay. I'll message you, and then we can figure that out. And there may be other people in our community as well who knows if there are other people who either work in your industry or might have, do you have somebody asked this question earlier. Do you have an LLC?
I do not. I am a sole proprietorship.
Okay. So that might be something down the road
yes.
as we help your business explode. But I will be in touch. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexis. Have a great day. I appreciate you.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.
Small business, right? There you go. Take something that you're passionate about. And I think this is really the lesson, friends, right? Hops and beans. That's hops, ampersand, beans. Folks, Maz, would you guys mind posting that in chat? I'd appreciate that. If you really truly find what it is that you're passionate about and you can turn it into making a living, then it's not work. So this is the small business that I own now. I technically own two, but the small business I own now, this is my third foray into small business ownership. They've always been very similar, where they're a consultancy. There was two consultant businesses, and then what I do now is I can tell folks what I do now is I left corporate America. I've talked about this. I was a C-suiter in corporate America, and I got that promotion, and I was in the role for about 7 months, I guess. And I was like, this is just really not for me, based on the politics. And I decided that I liked the work that I was doing as I worked my way up in my career, but I didn't really like the corporate umbrella. So I tendered my resignation to the surprise of people. They were not expecting that. So I basically am an ad hoc communications department. So if you need, imagine if you will, if you are a small growing company and you have marketing, public relations, communications needs, whatever that might be, whether that be business. And then we'll get into some more stats about what it is that we're talking about today. Good morning, Megan. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm a small business also, and I'm an artist. I'm a potter, and I've been working for myself for about 20, I don't even want to say how long it's been, 25 years.
So you started when you were 6. I got it. Yep.
Thank you. So I started off as a gallery in Annapolis, Maryland, and I represented over 100 artists in 10 years, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Went through a bitter divorce and ended up having to sell the business because of that. And now I'm a full-time potter, and that's what I do, and I love it.
Passion.
It's so rewarding.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, it's rewarding, but it's a lot of hats to wear, marketing and excuse me, there's just so many things you have to do to be a small business that I don't think people realize.
Especially as a sole proprietor, especially if you're the only person, right?
Yeah, for sure. I came up to say that I could use your help in marketing because I suck at marketing. So can I send you a message and direct message?
Yes, you can. I'll follow you. I obviously, I'll do what I can. If we have 100 people come up today, I'm not going to probably be able to help everybody, but I will do my best. But I will absolutely do my best. I mean, even if it's just a matter of looking at materials, a suggestion here, a suggestion there, those kinds of things, I would be happy to help. I mean, again, we're all in this together. From one small business owner to another, we are all in this together. So yes,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
Do you have a website, or do you promote now? Is there anything that you'd like to plug while you're up here, Megan?
Well, it's Whozles, WHOZLES.com. And WHOZLES, is that right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I make ceramic jars, lidded jars that look like monsters, and they're kind of eclectic. They sell very well. My shop is on hiatus right now on Etsy because I'm in the process of moving. So I can't be, doing that, committing to that right now full time as I'm trying to pack up a house and stage and move. So anyway,
that's great, Megan. I appreciate you coming up, and please DM me, absolutely, and we can figure out a time to talk and see what we can do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan. You have a great day. I appreciate what you do.
Too.
Again, one more time. It's Whozles. Is it Whozles.com? Is there a website, or is it okay?
I'll put it in the chat.
Please do. Thank you again, Megan. I appreciate you very much. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye. So that's kind of what we're doing here today, friends. If people have an opportunity, like I said, I know the mod community is going to be like, Steve, do not commit to helping everybody, and I promise I won't. But listen, we're all in this together. And I firmly believe, I absolutely believe in the spirit of entrepreneurs. And as we talked about, the lifeblood of our economy is based on entrepreneurs and small business owners, whether you be sole proprietors or have small LLCs, or if you have 10 employees. Think about every small business that you walk into, right? Think about every single one you ever walked into. Either they're family owned, or they're neighborhood owned, or friends from high school and college, and they get together and have all these conversations about these big, bold, bright ideas, and it turns into something. And they need our help, right? It's local. And whether it be a small family farm or a store or whatever that might be, right? I think just having the ability for people to share what it is that they do, thank you for saying that, kind of the intent here, just giving folks an opportunity to talk about it. Right? How do you know when it's time to get your LLC? It's a good question, Brooke. I think it depends on what you do. Now, the type of work that I do, because I work with other people and they trust me with their reputation, I also have to protect myself. So that's the reason that I decided to get into create an LLC. I also had an LLC from years ago that I just maintained. So it doesn't really apply to what I do now. But I guess I would recommend speaking to an accountant about that, and they can help you, and a lawyer if you have that opportunity. Each to each his own. Some people choose the sole proprietor route. Some people choose the LLC. S corps. There's all kinds of things that people do. So I'm not going to give that level of advice. I think it's on an individual basis. Let me just reset the gift goal here, friends. Thank you guys for gifting. I appreciate y'all. Let's continue to push out there. 55K. Can we hit 75K and help us get back out in the FYP? I'd really appreciate that. These restrictions are killing us. As we know, people really like the yelling and screaming, and we don't do that. We're trying to do a service here for folks, and it's not as popular with the algorithm, which is unfortunate. I'll do the cup of coffee. That's a big one. Let's do. We'll do the ice cream. So the zaniness in different ways. All right. So who owns and runs small businesses? So some small businesses are family owned, but the vast majority are not. Among small businesses that reported this type of information for 2022, 27% were family owned and 73% were not. So-called mom and pop shops account for a relatively modest share of small businesses for which information is available. Overall, 10% of small businesses in the U.S. were jointly owned and operated equally by spouses in 2022. Another 11% were jointly owned by spouses but separately operated, with men more likely than women to serve as primary operators. I'm going to get into some of the data around that. Supporting women-owned businesses, supporting businesses owned by members of LGBTQIA, by marginalized communities in general. There's a big push that we need to do because, again, funding is being cut. It's in particular for funding programs like that, and I'll cover that in just a minute. Franchises aren't very common among small businesses. Just 5% of small businesses that reported this information were fully or partially operated as franchises in 2022. In terms of demographics, men own a greater share of small businesses overall. That shouldn't surprise people, sadly, but it even though they make up less than half of the population. About 6 in 10 small businesses, 61%, were majority owned by men in 2022, while 22% were majority owned by women, and another 14% were owned equally by men and women. The association, the SBA defines majority ownership as having at least 51% equity in the firm. Looking at small businesses where estimates of majority owners' race and ethnicity are available, most, 85%, had majority white ownership in 2022. Smaller shares were majority owned by Asian Americans, 11%, Hispanic adults, 7%, and Black or African American adults, just 3%. And about 1% were estimated to have either American Indian and Alaska Native or Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander majority owners. So 85% of businesses, of small businesses, again, in this category, are owned by majority white people. Despite owning small shares of these firms overall, many Black and Asian Americans see entrepreneurship as a marker of success, according to Center surveys. For example, 30% of Asian Americans say owning a business is important to their own view of the American dream, according to a Center survey conducted from July 2022 to January 2023. And 36% of Black adults say owning a business is important to their personal definition of financial success, with another 22% saying it's essential, according to a September 2023 survey. Still, Black and Asian Americans are more likely to place emphasis on other measures asked about in these surveys, such as owning a home, having a good family life, and being debt-free, among others. How old are most small businesses? I thought this was interesting. Many small businesses have stood the test of time. In 2021, the majority of these firms, 59%, had been operational for at least 6 years, according to the Census Bureau. This includes 15% that had been in business for more than 25 years. On the other end of the spectrum, about a third of small businesses had been running for 5 years or fewer, including 9% that had launched in the last year. The Bureau could not determine the age of the remaining 6. There's also that critical mass, right? Like if you can make it through your first year, if you can survive the first year and you can figure out a way to get through that. Now, especially as it relates to I'm thinking about the folks that we spoke to earlier who have a photography business and a pottery business. It depends on product, right? So you've got to have a lot of investment up front. You got to maintain inventory. You've got to maintain supplies. You got to make sure is repaired and fixed. And business is my brain and my laptop. That's really it. And a phone. I'm fortunate in that regard. I used to have a small stake in a 420 business in Vermont, but the industry up here is crazy. So I was just on for the ride, so to speak. And that required inventory, but not my inventory. I only did the marketing and the biz dev side of that business. So there's that. So again, it depends on your business, right? So I've got a few more stats that I kind of want to go through, and I think this really is a good breakdown. Again, if you have a small business and you want to come up and promote it, please do. If you guys could really help push this out to the FYP, I'd love to get 1,000 people in here, because I know there are a lot of small businesses out there that would love the opportunity to promote what it is that they do, and that's what we're doing today. All right, so these are some stats. Hang on, water break. There are, let's see. All right. This is from the Census Bureau. Small businesses are the backbone of the American economy and provide nearly half the jobs for U.S. employees. Nearly 9 in 10 Americans state small businesses have a positive impact. We talked about that before, whereas only 29% of Americans view large corporations positively. Let's dive in. 34.75 million small businesses with less than 500 employees in the US SBA. We talked about that before, right? It's only 1% of those 34.75 million have between 100 and 499 employees. The rest are just independent operators, mom and pop, neighborhood, family. So the rest are truly small, right? Around 81.9% of small businesses in the U.S. have no employees, which amounts to 28.48 million businesses without employees, meaning that we are the sole employees. Only 16.3% of small businesses in the U.S. have between 1 and 19 employees. There are 58.95 million small business employees, which accounts for 46% of the entire, which accounts for 45% of the entire U.S. workforce. 4.69 million small businesses in the professional, scientific, and technical industry, accounting for 13.5% of small business. It's the only industry with more than 4 million small business. Again, that's in the professional, scientific, and tech industry. Developers, coders, Microsoft in your garage, things like that. Small business in the U.S. generated $16.2 trillion in revenue in 2022. Small firms in the U.S. exported goods worth $648.5 billion, or accounting for 36% of all exports in 2022. From 1995 to 2023, small businesses have been responsible for generating 20.2 million net new jobs, making up 61.1% of all new jobs created during this period. Again, those numbers. From 1995 to 2023, net new job generation from small businesses, 20.2 million, making up 61.1% of all new jobs created. If you take anything away from today, all right, it's that. When those proponents, I should say those fans of trickle-down economics, they would like to tell you that corporations larger than 500 employees, the bigger companies, which again make up 1% in our country, are the job creators. No, nope. They never have been, and they never will be. 1995 to 2023, small business has been responsible for generating 20.2 million net new jobs. That's 61.1% of all new jobs created from small businesses. Small business owners' primary motivations to go into business include ready to be their own boss, mine, that was 28%, dissatisfaction with corporate life, 22%, and want to pursue a passion, 13%. Small business in the U.S. are responsible for 43.5% of our GDP. Again, businesses less than 500 employees, and the bulk of those are less than 100 employees, account for 43.5% of our GDP. Small business for the win. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. I'm feeling much better today. Thank you.
Yeah, you weren't doing so hot. You do sound better today because people missed your amazing voice. So I'm glad that it's back in shape, so to speak.
Yeah. I had the COVID, so I'm doing better. Thank you for that. I am also a small business owner on a bit of a hiatus these days, but looking forward to the summer. I do a empanada catering business.
I did. How could I? Wait a minute. How did I not know that?
Yeah,
Do you not?
because
What?
I don't advertise.
Well, you are right now.
I am, but I just do it locally for friends and by word of mouth. It's not something that I'm trying to pursue as a primary source of income. It's just a passion that I have that I enjoy doing as a little bit of a side hustle.
You have quite a few passions, my friend, and you put them to use every day. So thank you for what you do in support of small businesses. So thank you.
Absolutely. I do love to support the underdog and help people get their word out. And as a quick reminder, annual reports are due on the 15th. In case it had slipped any of the small business owners' minds, that's a hefty fine.
Yeah, indeed it is. Yep. And I'm still battling with my accountant from tax season. So yeah, I hear you. I hear the pressure. The pressure for small businesses, it never stops. It never
It
stops.
it sure doesn't. It sure doesn't. Well, I thought I'd pop up here and do a regularly scheduled mod announcement.
Sure. Thank you.
Um, Well, y'all know that I'm here to remind you to please support our fabulous hostess with the mostest. He's our zealous Zen Zaddy, zipping up the zombified, zestless zeros. And he's here every day with that fiery, feral fist for freedom, bringing you facts over feelings, because facts still matter, and they always will. You can find the pay apps in the link tree of his bio, as well as the Facts HQ and Discord link. You can reach the HQ via FactsStillMatter.site. We've got live resources, community resources, and a ton of new merch, y'all. We are dropping new merch like every other day, so please take a moment and go and check that out. If you're a subscriber, you can get 10% off that merch. It's one of our perks. If you're just looking for that fun-free forum for the Facts family to frolic, then Discord is the place. If the link in the bio doesn't work, try to copy and paste it into a browser or Google. And if that doesn't work, just reach out to a moderator and we'll hook you up. When you join Discord, please open a ticket. There's a couple quick questions to answer. It's part of our process to maintain a safe space for our community. If you have questions about that, you can ask in the unverified lobby and we'll walk you through it. Now, if you haven't already, please click that follow or heart me up at the top of the screen next to Fax's name. You can join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day and it helps keep us relevant and on the FYP. The main thing that we ask of y'all is to please interact in the comments as well as tapping your little hearts out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. If you don't have any friends, just click the copy link. It works the same as a share and no one will be the wiser. When you have a chance after this live stream, head on over to YouTube and subscribe to Facts Still Matter there as well. You can rewatch shows for any information you missed, and subscriptions on YouTube are free, just like following your favorite creators here on TikTok. Mind? Smile at a straight, poke your feelings kind of day.
Thank you, my
Also,
friend. And yes, go ahead. Sorry.
you need to reset your gift goal. I've seen like 5 people try and remind you, and you are distracted. So
I'm
I
sorry.
thought I'd
Yes.
give that quick shout out real quick. Our friends in the chat are making those goals achievable, and we appreciate you.
I'm doing it right now. Lightning bolt, tiny. I love the tiny. So we'll do that. Done. Thank you, friends, and thank you, Eve. I appreciate you for everything everything you do and everything that you are. I appreciate you, my friend, my sister. I love you.
Thank you. Mwah.
Bye. Oh, I missed the we. I'm sorry. I missed the we. I'm sorry. Okay. Again, everybody, please take Eve's instructions, or she'll hunt you down, like literally. Again, help us try to drive traffic out to FYP. This is an important conversation. I know a lot of people are appreciating that we're doing this. Well, if we don't, who's gonna, right? We need to talk about these things because they're incredibly important. And It's ModFest today. Hey, friend.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good now. Good to see you. What's going on?
I don't join lives very often, so this is.
I know. Treat. That's why I'm excited. Another one of my amazing mods, friends. Hearts in the chat for mods everywhere, please. Thank you.
I have two things. I actually work for a small business. That's Excellent. We have about 63 employees. I'm the credit manager. It's a small lumber yard in the Baltimore area. We have 2 locations. So we sell your typical lumber, but we also sell some high-end lumber. We do kitchen cabinets. We have a small hardware store, which a lot of people don't know that we have a small hardware store. And
that's
we've
cool.
been in business for 104 years now. So
wow, that's rare for small businesses. You said 60 employees? What was the number you gave?
Yes. Yep.
There you go.
63 employees or so.
Family owned, I'm assuming?
Yes, it started family owned. They have shareholders now, but most of them are family or family friends of the owners, the company.
I love that.
It's the best.
I love that.
It's the best place I've ever worked. I've worked there for about 18 years now.
I love that.
So.
And what was it that inspired you to go to work for them? Just the general vibe, or just you had no idea it was going to turn into what it's turned into?
No, I didn't actually. I started working there as an administrative assistant when my son was 2 years old. I actually have an engineering degree. I was an engineer. And once I had my second child, I couldn't do that anymore. It was, it's hard when you're the mom. I mean, I'm sure being a single dad, it's hard for you too, but I worked with all men. They expected me to do the same things that they did, where they had stay-at-home wives and I was the mom. So I ended up leaving there and finding something that was less stressful, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for plugging it. You want to plug the business while you're here?
Sure. It's the J.F. Johnson Lumber Company. We're in Millersville and Edgewater, Maryland.
Is there a website?
Yeah, JF Johnson, or it's just johnsonlumber.biz, B-I-Z, as in zebra.
johnsonlumber.biz, friends. If you're in and around the Baltimore area and you need some lumber, that's your spot. Thank you, friend. Right. I appreciate you for jumping in today.
Now, really do. Hey, I also have starting my own small business.
Oh, here we go.
But I love to do crafting and paper crafts, so I've started making handmade journals and handmade books. And this will be my second or third weekend at a craft show with a friend of mine. She actually makes. Oh, excuse me, my dogs want to go back outside. She makes she makes shadow boxes out of paper shadow boxes, like the 3-dimensional ones, and she does a lot of craft shows. So I'm going to be up there with her with some of the books that I've made.
I love that.
And I also like to dye paper, different colors, different patterns. Use some rusty nails and stuff to make the paper look cool, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. How do you promote it?
I don't. Not yet. I do have an Etsy store. It's under Spill the Tea Paper. So that's if anybody wants to
Spill the Tea Paper, friends. Paper. Yes, got it. So we will make sure. I know Sam's compiling a bunch of stuff now that will anybody who's referencing their small businesses today, and we'll have all these resources. Anybody that comes up today and wants to promote their small business, we will gather it and put it in our Discord. So it's another incentive for you guys to join our business, our Discord.
Yep. So that's all I had today. I got to get ready to go to work. So
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for doing that and chasing your dreams a little bit with your paper in your crafting stuff. And again, like we discussed earlier, if you identify something you really, really love to do and you can make a living doing it, then it ain't work. Frank, thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye. Nice. Excellent. Okay. That's really cool. Again, these stories are the stories that we want. This is how our country was built, friends. Entrepreneurial ideas. Remember, entrepreneurial capitalism as opposed to corporate capitalism. And the overwhelming majority of Americans, almost 90% of people believe in the small business mindset. Yet we have blocks of people that vote for corporate capitalism and more tax cuts for the rich. Make it make sense. All right. Again, the vast majority, 87% of Americans claim small businesses have a positive impact. Small business owner statistics. Women own 44.1% of small businesses in the U.S. So again, the majority owned by men. Racial minorities have ownership of 22.1% of small businesses in the U.S. Gen X, 49%. Boomers, 30%, account for the vast majority of small business ownership. I think that makes sense. Although starting to see millennials, getting into business for themselves. Millennials are probably the first consistent generation to say, I'm not working for the man, so to speak. So I guess we'll see if that trend continues. In 2022, 27% of small businesses were family owned, according to Pew. In 2022, only 1 in 10 small businesses in the U.S. were jointly owned and operated equally by spouses. And then small business financing statistics. A majority of small businesses claim to use personal savings, 71%, and then credit cards, 67%, to finance their business. Yep. Yep. No doubt about it. Many people cash it in, like I did. I made the decision that this was important enough to me. I didn't like the direction that my career. That was, I really could for very lucrative, extremely well paying, great benefits package. And I said, nope, couldn't do it. And that's just my circumstance. But I relied on my hard work, and I relied on my brain and my passion and things like that. And it's been rough. It's been really rough lately, just because of everything else. But I'm privileged, first of all, to be able to do it, and second of all, debt is the American dream these days, sadly. So yeah, I get it. Those numbers are staggering, though. 71% use personal savings, and then 67% use credit cards to finance, and that's a little scary, but it's where we're at. And don't think that banks and credit card companies don't know that. Which again, if you think about policy changes recently, the Biden administration capped late fees and service charges at like $5 or $10, and the Trump administration said, "Yeah, we're going to get rid of that because we want to penalize small business owners and the working poor, etc." The average small business association loan was $443,097. A total of 70,242 loans amounting to $31.12 billion were provided to small businesses in 2024. Small business survival and failure stats. Based on a cohort of newly opened businesses in March of 2022, 23.7% of new businesses fail by year one. 43.4 by year two, it's 34.9% of new businesses fail. So if you can make it, we talked about this earlier. If you can survive 1 year, you're in good company. If you can survive 2 years, things are looking good. Between 1994 and 2021, an average of 67.9% of newly established businesses managed to survive for a minimum of 2 years. So that's a big number. So 70% managed to make it through 2 years. And then depending on circumstances, like I always think about people who started businesses during COVID or just before COVID, right? Think about that, how that must have been, it's been a horrible set of circumstances. In 2021, 2022, 15% of small businesses had been operational for over 25 years. Inflation, quality of labor, and taxes are the most important problems for small businesses. So they rank these problems in order of impact. Inflation, 24%. We're going to be living that for the next however long. Quality of labor, 21%. Taxes, 13%. Cost of labor, 9%. Poor sales, 8%. Government regulations, 8%. Cost and or availability of insurance, 6%. Competition from large businesses, 5%. Finance and interest rates, 4%. And other, 1%. So with that said, I thought I would play some more sound. I found a couple things I want to play for you. We all know how tariffs work, but I thought I would play this little bit of sound for you, and then I've got a few more things I want to talk about how the myth that we were told about the tariff plan to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. kind of discusses exactly what I just went through as to why some barriers to business, right? So let's listen to this first. You guys will like this. Everybody keep tapping.
China pays the tariffs. Nah, that's not just wrong. It's some next level dumb shit. Here's how it actually works. Walmart buys a microwave from China. It costs them $50. But the US government adds a 40% tariff. That's $20 extra. Walmart has to pay that $20 to the US government, not China, not to the factory, straight to Uncle Sam. China already got paid when they made the microwave.
That's an important point, friends, right? China has already been paid. They've already got their $50 in the microwave in this model, right? The $20 upcharge because of the tax, which is now the tariff, goes to the federal government. So when Donald Trump sits there and says, we're making billions and trillions of dollars, it's the government that's making billions and trillions of dollars, not you and me, okay?
They're chilling. Now, Walmart's not just going to lose money out of kindness. Their investors would freak the fuck out. So they raise the price. That microwave used to cost $79 in store. Now it's $99. Same product, higher price. And guess who's covering that extra cost? You, dummy. Even American-made microwaves go up. Why? Because if the import's $99, the US one can now be $94 and still look like a deal.
That doesn't get talked about enough. So the impact of an imported microwave, for example, the model that they give, $99. Microwaves made in downtown Pittsburgh, the manufacturer can say, well, gee, here's an opportunity to raise our prices because the Chinese microwave is now $99. Ours is $79. So we can sell ours now for $94. It's cheaper. And wow, we are now the heroes because we are offering a cheaper product. Nothing has changed in their model except they're making more money. Capitalism.
They raise prices too, because they can. Welcome to fucking capitalism. And it's not just microwaves. Trump's tariffs raise prices on anything with imported parts. Cans, packaging, labels, groceries, higher, toilet paper, higher, soda, higher.
Cans, packaging, labels, groceries, toilet paper, soda. Again, cans, packaging, labels. This is really indicative of the impact on small businesses, right? Think about the small business model where you're right on the edge of inventory. That is the balance. I have friends of mine who work in the craft brewing industry in our state with some brands that you would really know, and they say that is the biggest challenge is the fine line that you dance between inventory, knowing how much to have on hand, when you can lean in a little bit, when you can't lean in. Do you need to reduce staff based on demand, based on business growth? Do you need to cut staff? All these things are pivotal. Cans, packaging, labels. Think about the small independent operator. Think about our pottery, the folks who do pottery, or our Kevin Mott, who was just up, who talks about the paper. You've got to know how much to buy, when buy it, when not to buy it. So, real.
All that America first shit, it's fucking your bank account. Then other countries slap their own tariffs on us. So now American farmers can't sell as much overseas. Jobs get cut. Small businesses get squeezed.
Big time.
And the people getting hit hardest? Regular folks. You. Trump said China pays? That's a flag-wrapped fairy tale. You got taxed. You got lied to. And you're still clapping for it? Fuck that. Do better. Trump's...
Yep. Fuck that. Do better. Okay. All right. Here's a little bit more because again, we've been the part of the lie that we've been told. Everyone, again, if you guys could really help us out by helping us maintain our presence on the FYP, friends, we're probably lagging a little bit, but this again, we're not yelling and shouting at each other, and sometimes the algorithm doesn't like that. But anyway, yeah, small businesses. Don't forget, Hermie wanted to be a dentist, go into business for himself. Part of the lie that we've been told is that these tariffs will bring back manufacturing jobs to the U.S. And we've talked about it in a whole bunch of different ways. And again, I found similar sound. No, thank you. Don't want to do a battle with you. Appreciate you, though. Goodbye. we've been talking about this in a variety of ways about how we don't have the infrastructure to support it. You know, we're losing funding for small business, access to money, capital, just not there based on budget cuts. So this is I think this sort of line shit. This video kind of covers it. So I'll play this for you.
Reasons why tariffs won't bring manufacturing back to the U.S. 1. Tariffs aren't high enough to shift production. Even a 54% import tax doesn't close the price gap. Making an iPhone in China is still far cheaper. Apple pays more, but not enough to move to the U.S. Manufacturing here would cost even more. Both companies and customers choose the cheaper option. 2. America's supply chain isn't ready. To build anything fast, you need local parts. In Asia, factories sit next to other factories. In the U.S., many parts must still come from overseas. That adds time, cost, and risk to every product. For tech like iPhones, Asia remains far more efficient. 3. The US has lost key production knowledge. It's not just cost, it's technical ability. Some components need specialized skills and tools. For example, Taiwan dominates semiconductor manufacturing. Even with cash, the US can't match that expertise. That's why Americans carve out exceptions for their products. 4. US labor is expensive and not always reliable. American workers cost more per hour than Chinese ones.
Yep.
But the gap isn't just money. Manufacturers need precision, speed, and discipline. In China, factory workers bring years of trained skills. In the US, that manufacturing culture has largely faded away. 5. Made in America takes years to build. You can't build factories overnight. Permits alone can take 2 years in the US. Once built, it takes months to train staff, then months more to make quality products at scale. By then, a new president may change the policies again. 6. Americans don't actually want factory jobs. Most people prefer safe, clean office work. Manufacturing is loud, physical, and exhausting. Those cheering tariffs often haven't worked a line shift.
Exactly.
Once they see the jobs, excitement may fade fast. 7. There aren't enough workers to fill new factories. Only 6.8% of Americans are unemployed right now. The U.S. lacks the people and the skills needed. Who's going to manage these plants? Top talent goes where the money is. Tech, finance, and real estate.
Tech, finance, real estate, right? I mean, just a few obvious things in that. We know we have 9 million roughly open jobs. We have low unemployment, although we expect that. I'll put it in Discord. I'll do that right now before I forget. Squirrel. Finance, tech, real estate. That's where the money is, right? We see, we know what we see from the corporate capitalist perspective. Roughly 9 million open jobs in our country, and there's soon to be a lot more as we're seeing cuts to agriculture and in the service sector. Our country is not a manufacturing company, but all the things that they talked about, we've talked about. So if we use the argument, the tariffs are going to bring back manufacturing jobs, it's just impossible. It's just we don't have the workforce for it. We don't have the infrastructure to support it. We don't have the appetite from American workers to go back to work in the assembly lines. I mean, we joke about how in certain states they want to lower the age for employment and remove child labor laws. Tiny hands of those 6-year-olds can get inside the coal veins inside the mines. We joke, but again, there's no appetite. So the manufacturing sector is not coming back to the U.S. And the rest of the world knows that, right? And they know it. We can't compete. I think the microwave model that we discussed earlier makes perfect sense, right? So if the idea is to expand manufacturing to the U.S., it's still not going to be as cost effective as it is for us to ship it here. It's still not going to be cheaper for the American consumer. So if tariffs are used as a negotiating tool to say, okay, we're going to slap this tariff on you so that we can bring these jobs back to America, and then the country agrees to the tariff, then what have we done? We've just created more higher priced items for the American consumer and no more manufacturing jobs. So it's a lie. It's just a flat out lie. All right. Back to some of the data that we were just discussing here. Where's that sheet that I was just looking at? Okay. Small business marketing statistics. Again, the list of barriers. We just went through this based on that exercise. Inflation, quality of labor, taxes, cost of labor, poor sales, government regulations, cost and or availability of insurance, competition from large businesses, finance and interest rates, and then other. So the Trump administration, we've seen their budget now. Remember we talked about this, and I was on with Amanda during her therapy live last night, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, that's something that Amanda from MBW does, Therapy Thursday. It's great. It's really these one-on-one, calm, chill conversations with Trump supporters, just asking them why they did what they did by voting for the things that they voted for. So we're able to kind of fact check them in real time, as we like to do. But the Trump budget shows continued hostility towards small budgets. Remember, don't tell me what your values are. Show me your budget. So if you claim to support small businesses, right, then your budget would support small businesses. If you claim to support women, marginalized communities, then your budget wouldn't be cutting programs and services. In my conversation with one of the Trump supporters last night that we're speaking to, I asked specifically this question. I said, do you believe that your spending would be indicative of your values? And he said basically yes. So think about this. And then I said, okay, then we are spending $1 trillion on defense and homeland security, and we are cutting education, and we are cutting social services and cutting public health. And he was fine with that. So again, the question is, does your budget match your values? And in the case of the Trump administration, the answer is yes. Their budget does match their values. Increase spending for defense and homeland security, cut education and public health. Okay. All right. So President Trump's FY26 discretionary budget further exacerbates the administration's attack on America's hardworking entrepreneurs, proposing cut after cut after cut to critical small business support programs at a half dozen federal agencies. So I'm going to go through the agencies for you, and then these are the cuts, and these all impact small businesses. The U.S. Small Business Administration, let's start with that one. $167 million cut from the Entrepreneurial Development Program, an elimination of 15 programs, including the Women's Business Center and SCORE. SCORE is like a training, like an organization that provides federal funding for people who want to invest or become small business owners, primarily designed to support women investors. So again, an elimination of 15 of said programs. A $2.5 billion cut from the IRS taxpayer support and necessary revenue generating programs. Again, these are programs designed to provide either loans or tax breaks for small business owners and entrepreneurs. Okay. U.S. Department of Commerce, elimination of the Economic Development Administration and the Minority Business Development Agency, removing at least $70 million in essential business support. Again, this program, Economic Development Administration and the Minority Business Development Agency. Don't show me your values. Don't tell me your values. Show me your budget. U.S. Department of Agriculture, $721 million cut from rural development programs, including the elimination of vital business programs, community facilities grants, and new broadband funding. Again, in an attempt to expand, this is a real core tenet of the Biden administration was the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act, which invested in marginalized and underserved communities. Things like broadband. So if you want to be a small independent operator, you want to house, right? You can do that if you have access to broadband. You can do that if you have access to resources. And this particular agency, Department of Agriculture and others, are now cutting funding to the tune of $721 million. Keep in mind, every time I read these cuts, our defense budget is going to go above $1 trillion, and my sound did put out. You guys hear me again? Yeah, we're back. I got a phone call. Are we back? Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? Yes, okay. All right. Again, cuts to agriculture, commerce, treasury, USBA, All these programs designed to help small businesses and, in particular, minority-owned businesses, right? Meanwhile, we are kind of muffled. Sorry. Meanwhile, we are now increasing our defense funding to over $1 trillion and increasing our Homeland Security budget by 45%. Okay. Is that better? Hope it is. Sounds great in my head. All right. Department of Energy. Elimination of more than $15 billion in infrastructure investment and Jobs Act clean energy funding that is vital to small business participation in a modern economy. So infrastructure investments from the Department of Energy, those things would be like low interest loans if you go green, and or investment in renewable resources, right? All those tax breaks and incentives are now gone to support defense spending, to support funding on the border. And then the Department of Health and Human Services, this is a big one. $674 million cut from the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services. I'd like to tell you that they're not, but they are. Including the elimination of health equity-focused activities and the Inflation Reduction Act-related outreach programs, along with educational activities that have been vital to recent small business growth and vitality. When you can't provide, whether it be insurance and or benefits at an affordable level to your employees, it makes it difficult to hire. So those are just some examples of what's happened. Or the budget from the Trump administration is certainly not small business friendly. It's certainly not middle class friendly, and it's certainly not. Hold on, I got a little bit of a. Lightheaded there for a second. All right, I'm good. Okay, so there's a few more things that I want to cover off on, but again, the opportunity today is to have conversations with small business owners, those of you who are small business owners, those of you who work for a small business, those of you who are thank you. I'll remind myself to do that. So these cuts that I just went through are staggering, to say the least. They represent the potential reduction of billions and billions of dollars in support for American entrepreneurs, especially the smallest businesses in our most under-resourced communities. If these cuts come to pass, America's entrepreneurs will find it infinitely harder to start or grow a business, access technical assistance, or receive a loan or a grant. The timing of all this could not be worse, as small businesses are already reeling from tariffs, previous cuts and freezes to federal assistance programs, and the mass deportation of immigrants who are a necessary part of the small business workforce. President Trump believes his actions support the small business community. He's mistaken. He must stop gutting small businesses and support programs simply because they cost money, and accept that when the federal government invests in America's entrepreneurs, it is money well spent. No, you don't need to call an ambulance. I'm good. Thank you, though. We've talked about this in terms of how money gets invested. So we've discussed how like $1 invested in Head Start, or $1 invested in food assistance programs pays pays dividends tenfold. Think about this wild radical concept, right? Of saying, maybe we should feed kids. Maybe we should invest in healthcare. Because what it does is it creates a, healthier, more well-fed, thus more productive workforce. So, yeah. Okay. A few more things I want to play here. Let me see. Did I do that? I did. Hang on a second. Okay. So my audio is skipping. Now I'm frozen. Still frozen? Really? Do I need to restart? I hope not. Because I'm humming. Are we good? I think we're good. Okay. All right. The message that we're told from the administration is the economic success is a result of Donald Trump. So I want to point your attention to a couple of tweets or truths that he made within the last year. This one on January 29th, 2024 on Truth Social. This is Trump's stock market in all caps. Okay. Again, this is January 29th, 2024, and this is relevant to our conversation. I'll tell you why in just a minute. I got heartburn. I got a burp. That's what it is. I hate that. Sorry. This is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good that investors are projecting that I will win, and that will drive the market up. Everything else is terrible. Watch the Middle East and record-setting inflation, which has already taken its toll. Make America great again. Okay. January 29th, 2024. April 30th, 2025. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump. I didn't take over until January the 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the USA in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while. Has nothing to do with me or tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. First of all, I think he meant to say hangover and not overhang. So 2 tweets, truths, roughly a year apart. The first one, January 29th of 2024, started this way. This is the Trump stock market as the stock market was cranking. And then April 30th, 2025, it starts this way. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. And I cut this sound from the interview he did with Kristen Welker over the weekend. And this is what he had to say about that.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
One more time.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
All these things to say, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, talking about, speaking on, obviously clueless when it comes to the economy. All right. So a few more things I want to play. Again, if you have a small business you want to come up and promote it today, I'd love to have you. Please join us. Did I play this one? I played that one. Okay. Is that the one I wanted? Well, I played this earlier, but this I think is worthwhile again, just because we know that people who have capital can acquire capital.
Now, let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. You know, if we get that, if you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, there's some stiff sitting behind you, that'd be fine. You better.
So anyway, so if you listen, my trade war that I'm losing with China crashed the stock market. And we've eliminated your 401k and your property value and everything else is just cratered. But now would be a great time to buy. Who's in a position to buy? It's not you and me. Nope. Not us. It's them. Good morning. I gave you some love earlier. How are you?
Good. How are you? I heard that. Just texted me. I did not hear it, but I'm so thankful that you did that. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? I have a little bit of a cold, but you know, life goes on.
Yeah, you do. You do. What's going on in your world?
You know, stuff and things. I want to say thank you for that. And I know you're promoting small businesses, and we do have our MBW website up where we have merch for sale. And if you're interested, if anybody's interested, go check it out. The link is the link tree. The link is in my link tree in my bio. But all the money we make from that is going to a charity. It's not going to us. So if you are if you're so inclined to purchase something from there, it goes to a really good cause.
So either you or Jess, please send me the link to that, and I'll put it in our link tree as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and thank you
Sure.
thank you for shouting it out, Steve. That the Thursday helps me out a lot. The Thursday live helps me out personally a lot, but just professionally as well. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was just mentioning to people that I was part of that conversation last night when I asked that question about, like, to our guest. I wouldn't even get their name, about how do you believe that how you spend your money is indicative of your values?
Mm-hmm.
And he said yes, and I said okay. So then we spend a lot more money on defense now and the border, and we're cutting education and public health. And he's like, yeah, I'm good with that. So it's like, I don't know. I don't even know where you go from that conversation. Yeah, it was him, exactly, Blue Granny. I don't even know where you go from that conversation, because it's really that simple. I mean, it's not even a debate at that point. If that's what you prioritize, then your values are just not aligned on, the things that maybe should matter to people.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of the point of that live, right? And that was a perfect question to ask, because we're trying to get that down to a human level, right? How can you be okay with making that kind of decision when you're hurting so many people, right? Like, your choices affects people, and it's more like you kind of made a point, like, it's more about money here, right? Like, it's just, it was awful. And people really do reveal themselves, but usually I consider it a successful live when one person will open up their mind just a little bit. And we had that last night, and it was really amazing. We had one woman who was about to shut down. She didn't want to keep talking. But then we had this amazing Muslim woman come up and talk to her, because she was being a little phobic towards that population. And she came up and talked to her, and you could just feel that woman open up just by the way they were having the conversation. It was just a really beautiful thing. And then she was open to the rest of us for the rest of the conversation. And she was like, yeah, I have a lot to learn. We gave her some like documentaries to watch and stuff like that. And it seems like she seemed way more open than when she first came up. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, that Thursday night therapy, Amanda's not a doctor. Just for full disclaimer and disclosure here, it's just something that she's been doing on Thursday nights, and it's really great. It's conversations we're all desperate to have. Anything you want to promote for either tonight or for the weekend?
Yeah, Jess is a battle at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to, that's really helpful to support her in her personal life and everything. And it helps her move MBW along as well. So 9 p.m. Eastern, Jess is battling. And then we have debate night Fridays after that. So join us for that. It's fun. We get a little spicier there. So
Indeed you do. Well, thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Hello, Obi. How are you today, friend?
Hello there.
Wait, I missed my cue. Hold on.
Hello there.
There you are. Sorry. How you doing, buddy? Small business owner?
I am a small business owner. It is 6:28 a.m. here in Los Angeles County. Currently 62 with winds out of the west at 5 miles an hour.
News and weather together on the 8s. Sorry. I went back in time.
Non-existent because it's 6:28 a.m.
Exactly.
Couple of things, Mr. Small Business Owner. You probably knew this was about to start happening when I heard you giving things away for free. Steve is a small business owner. If you value the free resources and education that Steve contributes to our community on a daily basis, if you have no money, tap the screen. That's a free activity you can do while doing just about anything. If you have some dollars in your pocket and you were thinking about supporting a small business instead of, say, Starbucks, please feel free to use the pay links above Steve's head and make a coffee contribution to our host. If you find yourself in a position like I have, where you need a chief marketing officer and need to employ his services, please do, but pay him something, right? Proportional to the effort that he's putting in would be the preferred scale, and I will stop. Now, I would normally promote my small business, but I have a funny feeling that our audience and my business probably don't have a lot of synergy, but I have I have been independently self-funding my business now for just I think like a little over 2 years, and I too had spent decades.
I'll be right back. You guys, Phil. I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
sure. Working at financial institutions and basically giving away not only my self-worth but the value that I bring for less pay, as it turns out, than I could make here on my own. And it's a struggle, right? Because you have to sacrifice a lot. Benefits are a hard thing to give up, but benefits shouldn't be tied to your paycheck. You shouldn't have to have a job to have health care. Fortunately, our
That
wife
part.
has excellent health care via the state of California. Thank you, Governor Newsom. And you know, it's rough because some months there is plenty of money coming into the business account that helps pay bills, including me getting paid. Some months I don't get paid at all because the amount of money that I owe to run the business, which includes paying people that do work for me, means that I don't get paid. And so that means I can't save money, which means during the lean times, I can't always pay people. Um, but Steve has helped me realize a great many things, not only about myself, and I'm going to put this in really bold quotes, maybe even italics, as a strategic thinker, because I am incapable of less is more. I don't know how to do elevator pitches and things like that. So I have engaged Steve uh, and his services. And my hope uh, is that in the next week or two, that we make that more of a regular basis, and that I will be able to have Steve be at my company and help us get to the next level. So I think it's fantastic that you are willing to help some folks for free. But please, for those of you who have money, and I know that's not everyone, please do try to help our host. Do what you can.
Thank
Tap
you.
the screen, give a heart me, because struggles are real. And people aren't always honest because, one, it's none of our fucking business. But two, it's hard, right? It's hard to come up here and talk about how for, you know, 2.5 months I didn't have a contract, right? So whatever money I saved, I had to eat through. And then when you get money, right, you got to pay people, and then you got to catch up on everything else. So it's a pretty vicious cycle. But that
And why
said,
do we do this? Why do we go into small business for
yeah,
ourselves? Oh yeah.
I will tell you why. I get to do things I never thought would happen. So over the last 5 years, I have been invited to come speak at conferences and lead panels and moderate panels. I've been asked to write little white papers for the industry, and now I edit all of them from the various work groups. This is the stuff, right? It is so fulfilling to have a life that's enriched in other areas. Yes, it's capitalism, I'd rather have money in my bank account. But the personal satisfaction of producing a really well received white paper, or people coming up after the panel is finished and congratulating us on the content and what we've discussed, that is why I'm a small business owner. That's why I do what I do.
I
Reaching
love
a
that.
larger audience, helping other people see things from different perspectives. That is invaluable.
Love that.
And that wouldn't happen if I didn't continue to have the struggle.
I appreciate you saying that. I want to address this comment. Somebody asked, like, I have a website, but I sadly, because of this space and what I do here, I get unaliving threats on the regular, and I believe that people managed to track down some of my information in the past through my website because it has my face, it had my name, it even had my business location, and I think they use that to dox me. So I have decided to make that. So right now, what I do is kind of word of mouth, and I talk to people. I mean, if things change, then I might go public again. But that's one of the reasons that I don't have that public face anymore, sadly. So there you go. That's part of the process. But anyway, anyway, back to our topic of the day. Thank you for that. Your kind words, Obi. I appreciate you. Amanda, anything else that you would like to share, friend?
Yeah, well, there's somebody in the comment named Ash Just Human, and she can't come up right now and talk because of the people around her, but she has a small business where she makes jewelry, and it's also her birthday today. And she's trying to get out of a tough situation. So if you want to go check out, just DM her. She can maybe shoot you a link to her website or something, or give her some information. But anything you could maybe, if you want to purchase jewelry from her, it could help her out in her situation right now. So Ash, if you don't want to comment and say hey, so people, there she is, right there, latest comment. So
yes.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ash, and let's go support her and help her out.
Thank you for that call out, Amanda. I appreciate you very much for being here today. And then, as a reminder, MPW debate night tonight. What time? 9 Eastern, roughly? Or what time is this?
Jess's battle, and I have to correct myself. It's much calmer than it used to be. I will say it just used to be a scotch spicier, but it's much calmer.
That's true.
So, and that's because Jess and I were really aiming for that. We want to have more conversations than anything. So, she has a battle tonight at 9. So look for that, and then right after that we'll do debate night. So.
I love it, and I'll use that as there's no Facts After Dark tonight, friends. I know, but our daughter is in an all-state music festival that she auditioned for, and she got a part in what's called the Modern Band, and they have a full-on concert tonight with 10 songs they're playing. She's singing on 5 of them, and I'm looking forward to be happy girl dad moment this evening. So that's where I will be. But thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you as always, friend.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Love you, Amanda.
You too.
Love you. Love you guys.
Bye. Okay. Do we have anybody else that's requested? All right. No. So I'm going to go back to some of the data that we were discussing earlier.
Data.
Easy. Shifting your chair. Okay. The vast majority of 83% of small and mid-sized businesses already use or have intentions to use social media marketing to increase customer engagement and boost online traffic. Makes sense, right? Whether it be an Etsy store, whether it be Instagram, a lot of people converted their traditional web approach to just having an Instagram page. These are low cost points of entry, but content is king, as we all know. Facebook is the most popular social media platform to promote products among small to mid-sized business owners with a usage rate of around 84%. Other commonly used social platforms include IG, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. 57%, by the way. In a survey of small to mid-sized retailers and restaurants, 96% of respondents report they get most engagement on TikTok, followed by Facebook, 68%, and Instagram, 47%. I thought that was a really interesting statistic. All right, Gabriel. Morning, everybody. Hello. Good morning, Gabriel. How are you today? Gabriel or Gabrielle? Gabriel. I might fax is in his pocket or in their pocket. That's what I think. Okay. Hopefully you can join us. Hi, I was hoping you would request today.
Well, we had to get here.
I understand.
We
live 30 minutes from the shop. Let me just adjust this so I can hear you better. Yeah, we live 30 minutes from the shop, and you're an hour ahead of us.
Okay. Well, while you're talking, thank you for being here. Why don't you tell folks, first of all, how we met? But while you're here, I want to show people something. This is what you guys make.
Yes.
Some of the things that you make. One example, it says, it's hard to see from the picture, but it says Teach Peace. And we actually have a t-shirt that is in the store. By the way, I wanted to let you know, this is a bit of a surprise to you. Any proceeds from the sale of any of the shirts that we sell with Teach Peace on it will go directly to you guys. And also, we also have, here's another, hold on. Here's another example. And out of the kindness of your heart, you guys sent these to me. And I just want to thank you. By the way, they smell fantastic. And we have a mug too. And we also have a mug.
Can we go ahead and turn our camera on?
Sure.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I'm a novice at this. Let me see.
I'll send you the invite to turn your camera on.
I got it. Nope. Save. I gotta hit save.
There you go.
Okay. I'm trying to get both of us in, but it's kind of hard. We'll have to squeeze together.
Let me give you the big screen. Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna do that.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna turn that overhead light off. It's a lot of glare.
Hello.
Hi. Let's use this we're doing good. Let's use this opportunity. This is your advertisement. Go for it. Tell us about your business. Tell us why you got into it. Tell us what you do, and tell us how we can help.
Well, we're in Branson, Missouri, and we vacationed here, and we ran into a fellow that was making these signs, and I watched him for a few moments. I think we actually even ordered a sign from him, and I had mentioned as I walked past him, I said, I'd like to learn how to do that someday, or something along those lines, and I walked off. I never thought anything else about it, and as I was walking back to our vehicle to leave, he yelled at me and asked me to come over, and we spoke for a few hours, and he said he was looking for somebody, and I told him, unfortunately, I had no skills. I said, my woodworking abilities is basically taking a 2x4 and cutting it with a saw. That was about it. So over 7 months, I learned how to do this. And then I came back and he offered me a job, and I worked for him for almost 10 years. Unfortunately, he passed away. And after his passing, we renamed the location and became Here's Your Cedar Sign.
That simple.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it meant we had to relocate here, but things weren't great where we were at the time. We were in Oklahoma, and it was worth the chance. And it's been a very lucrative business for us for many, many years. This is going to actually be our 10th year as Here's Your Cedar Sign. And
Congratulations.
it's been very lucrative for us. But, with everything in the last few years, it's just, I didn't want to cry so early. But, it's bottomed out. And we closed out our April month. And what we did for the month, we could have normally done in a weekend. So, I know the focus has changed. People's spending habits have changed. People just don't have the disposable income. We understand that. And we always had enough tourism coming into town that for him kept him more than busy. But it just hasn't been that way. And if we survive till the end of the year, that might be it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We promised ourselves, we spoke this morning and we spoke last night, we're not going to cry.
That's okay.
And we have stifled it back. We've had our days, and we've let our emotions, hit the best of us. And we got them out. And I said, I don't think I can even cry anymore anyways. I said, I don't know, I almost feel like I'm cut off from it. But, the sad thing is the bread and butter is our signs. The sign sales allow us to supply everything else within the store. All our other little goodies, like we sent you some.
Yes, amazing. Yep. These nuts, and yeah, they were great. They were great peanuts and cashews. They were awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, so and everything I bring in here is for any snacks or treats or anything I try to bring in, I try to make sure it's from other small businesses across the country. So I try to, make sure people understand that you're not just supporting us. You might be supporting 20, 30 other businesses around the country when you buy from us. But, when you don't have that foot traffic and you don't have that, it's just hard. Yeah. We're having to focus or maybe pivot to a more online thing, which was not something we ever needed to do, we had so much coming through the door. And, he underestimates his ability on these signs because he literally just draws these on with a magic marker and cuts it with a plunge router. And the only thing he uses any artwork for is for the, the actual artwork he'll may use a template for. But yeah, he doesn't necessarily always give himself the credit that he deserves. But
we have a term in our communities called "take your flowers." So you guys need to take your flowers first of all for being in business for 10 years. And, we spoke briefly. I left you guys a message. We kind of talked back and forth a little bit about how this is your life. This is your passion. It's not just your business. Oh. It defines you. It's who you are. So these things hurt, and it's okay to cry. Don't sweat it. We cry here all the time. I'm a blubbering fool sometimes when I get off the air, so don't even worry about that. So many people in our community, since you guys have been talking, want to know how they can help aside from, purchasing your products. So let's talk about your website. Is there a website that folks can go to?
Website. It's relatively simplistic because initially, as I say, we had so much foot traffic and so much business that way. I didn't need to worry about online orders or anything like that. So we kept it really simplistic as more as informational what we did and where we were. It is, as the business says, it's here'syourcedarsign.com. But I will tell you, if anybody is on Facebook, if they could follow us there, because Facebook is easy for me. I update that. I post on there multiple times a day. We're hitting close to 5,000 followers on there. And a lot of them are loyal customers, but even our loyal customers can only buy so many signs.
Right. That's true.
Although they have come to our aid many times when we've been in a pit. Anybody within the United States who wants to order a sign, that's not a problem. It's coming to you for free. We just usually ask that you allow us about 21 days because, we don't know what he may have on his board as far as getting accomplished. Right. And then the time frame to ship it.
Right. One thing to think about too, since we're here, everybody, there's nearly 500 people in here. If you're not yet following our friends here, please do so. Let's try to help that way. I think what you said something I think is interesting is that, you've always depended, or I should say been able to rely on repeat business from people that are always purchasing your products. And you've had to shift a bit because of whatever economic conditions or just the change in the market. But that may not be a bad thing, right? That may not be a bad thing, getting exposure to the wonderful things that you make. So so up until now, the bulk of your business has always been foot traffic. So people walking in the door. So the reason I asked that question is because some people in the chat, and I was thinking this too, have you thought about craft shows? Have you thought about doing craft shows and things like that?
We have. It's only ever been the two of us. So right. Those kind of things, something's got to sacrifice. And when when we're busy, we need two man here, because we've thought about the craft shows. They always seem to coincide with our busy foot traffic time. So it never really has panned out. But here's the thing, like I say, unfortunately we were lazy because they just rolled in the door, so we got complacent relying on what rolls in the door, and it was plentiful. It was enough to keep us going. It was enough to keep him busy. And that was fine. But yeah, we know now that we have to pivot.
It's not lazy. I mean, and Kira mentioned something really, really great in the chat about do a live when you're making one of your signs.
We've done that before.
Because that would be a really cool way to show people inside the shop, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I have tried doing some video. I had a gentleman reach out to me the other day. If you look at me, I can't pay you for your advice, so it'd have to be free. And he said, don't worry, it is. But I said, his suggestion was he kind of walked me through how I can do time-lapse videos. And he said that'll be more, that'll be productive for you because you'll be able to, do the beginning, show something, the progress of that particular sign, and then you put it together where you'll have the end. And so he's kind of walked me through. So that's a new project for us. But like I say, it's things we've not ever had to worry about or do. I mean, and it's just it's a pivot point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Either pivot or we close. At this point, and I don't want to do that. I don't because I don't want to go back to work for the man. As much as the man wants us all obviously back working for him. I don't want to do that. And we're 55. We have run through every dime we had. I mean, literally, what I have left is what's in our checking account. And I'm like, well, I may have to call the mortgage company this month. Just baffles me how we ended up here.
yeah, I mean, somebody just made this point about it's one video going viral would make such an incredible impact. So, and I think I really like the idea of whether it be time lapse of in the shop or customer testimonials. There are things that would really help. These are small things just off the top of my head, but I really like the idea showing your passion, showing the process, what it looks like, and then maybe some photographs as part of the video that you make, photographs of other people who've got their signs. You could even do a giveaway potentially during the live if you're making one, just a way to drum up interest. And I would be happy to sit in the live with you guys if that would help bring in more traffic. I'm happy to do that. So those are kinds of things that we can all do as we're working together.
As I say, we're open to anything. I mean, when you've put your heart and your soul into everything, and I mean, it's become your life. Well, you can't fathom beyond that. And I mean, the weird thing is we actually did okay during COVID, which is kind of odd. But I think, everybody had a little extra money in their pockets. So people, when they did get out the door, they were ready to spend. These last 2 years, I think we figured last year we were down almost 40%. And then this year is just literally like the bottom fell out. And I know our season hasn't quite kicked in, but that's never really been an issue. There's always been sustainable orders and stuff like that coming in. And I mean, a few years ago, we took a pivot by adding the snacks and the treats and stuff in our store. And because there again, I can't sell a sign to every year to the same people. And we get a lot of repeat business. So the snacks and the treats picked up, but if I can't sell the signs, I can't buy the snacks and the treats. So then I have nothing when they come in the door. It's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Well,
hey,
first
Steve,
of all, yes, Obi.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Now,
friends, meet Obi. Obi is one of the kindest, most generous, most amazing people that you'll ever meet. So there you go.
We're here every day hiding in the comments, so we know all ya.
Appreciate you.
So here's a thought. I have a small business and it has a brand, but I don't have a sign. And so here's how I walk through this process. Steve lends us the platform and we join and we talk about small business. We talk about crafting a sign. We talk about branding, right? Then Steve and I, for my company, can craft a blog post. And this is where it will be interesting because I'm sure you have not thought of this. We take that blog post and we push it out on LinkedIn, which is where I get the vast majority of my business. There are an awful lot of folks in my industry that love supporting small businesses. It doesn't mean that you're going to gain a lot of business, but you're going to gain attention.
Yes.
And so I think if we think of the unconventional approaches and in the blog post, talk about what are the human elements, right? Like, what are the struggles? And make it relatable, not just to the craft industry, but we'll put a slant on it. And I'm following you now. So Follow me, DM me, because what typically happens when you're making this shift from brick and mortar and wanting to have more of an online presence is you have to start thinking in terms of merchant, right? Not as a craft business, but you're a merchant, you're a purveyor of goods. The fact that you talked about how you support other small businesses, that has to be promoted, right? And what we'll do, and I love me some snacks, so I guess I'll have to order some snacks and a sign, is that we will highlight that. We'll highlight your ecosystem that exists in your store, in your merchant business. And this could be a really fun way. One, I love all things wood. It just reminds me of being a Boy Scout and living in Oregon. And I like that, right? So let's do an offline conversation, and let's use the village approach and see what happens, because I'm paying for the sign, I'm paying for the snacks. Your only job is to ship those things to me and then have a conversation. You don't have to pay for anything. So let's figure that out, and let's see what we can do.
We truly appreciate that. I mean, we threw caution to the wind sending Steve the signs. I didn't quite know how that would be received, but we knew how much we love following you. You kind of keep us sane on a daily basis. We're in such a red area that you help maintain. I can actually turn my camera too and show you some signs.
Do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Here, let me do this again. Let's do that. Let's take a tour of the store.
Well, let me turn you. Wait a minute. I need to turn you around, don't I?
Yeah, you can, or you can just flip the phone. So people are also requesting that they're on your website and they can't find a spot to order. Okay. So that might be something to think about too, right?
There's a reasoning behind that.
Okay.
We've never really found a software that was able. I can't get this to. What is going on here now? Can you see?
You can just turn it around. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
We've never really come up with a way to go through all the questions, all the pertinent questions we like to ask when doing a sign in an online format. And I was always of the opinion, I bet you 9 times out of 10, this is going to involve a phone conversation for clarification anyways. So we've kind of always left it to, like, we would take the phone call and do it. It helps us as a small business to keep things a little more personal. And I think sometimes people in this day and age like that personal aspect. I know some people don't want any contact with people, but it's just kind of how we've done things.
I'm gonna help you with that, because I hear what you're saying, and with all the love, it's 2025. We've got to move forward, right? And trust me, some of my customers have the same problem. I want to look at your website, and I will go through and make suggestions. I will find people on the software side that can help and give deep discounts. You let me know what you think of what I'm doing, and then I will make the intros, and I will do this for free. But let's make sure that when there's an opportunity like this, we're not missing sales because of an inability to order. So let's focus on that first. I will pay you for a sign and snacks, and then we'll go from there. But let's go ahead and tackle that. That's huge, because there are 445 people here.
Right.
What if that represented 100 to 150 sales?
Well, you better give us some time to get them made. But we will get.
I got you.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
we got time.
And somebody made this suggestion to you guys, and you might have thought about this already. Somebody suggested your top 10 best sellers always have those. So don't rely on the customization all the time. Make sure that those are always in stock so people can order those. You know what I mean?
The one we made you, one of our top sellers. It says welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one says family. Yep, I got it right there.
My family was fitting for you.
I thank you for it. Absolutely is. There were no, of course there were no tears at all when I opened that box. None whatsoever. None at all. None at all. So, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We'll be in touch. Now, we always say once you become part of our family, it's like gum in the bottom of your shoe. You're kind of stuck with us.
That's okay.
So that's how it goes.
You do want to meet somebody before you go.
Okay.
You do have to meet someone.
Well, hello there.
This is Chloe.
Well, hello.
She's
there you go.
She's our shop doggy. She comes to work every day.
Well, there you go. That's part of the family. All right, you guys, we got you. Okay, we're gonna figure this out. Keep the faith. What you're doing is amazing. It's just an honor. First of all, it's an honor that you support us here, and like we discuss every single day, every chance we get. This is what we do, and we're honored to do it. So I know Obi will be in touch. I will be in touch. We'll figure out a way. We'll take this one little step at a time, and who knows? Everybody that's in here, 444 people. If you haven't yet followed our friends here, here's your Cedar sign. Please do so. Please go to their various socials, check out their products, and let's see what we can do here. The power of this space, and we've seen it. We've seen what it can do for others, and let's hope it can do something positive for you as well. I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
We can't express how thankful we are for you guys. I'm glad I stumbled upon your live one day, and I'm glad I stuck with it. So.
Well, I know that. And again, thank you guys very, very much. We will be in touch, okay?
Thank you so much, Steve. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, guys.
You too. See you later. Bye.
Whee!
All right. She got the memo too. So again, guys, you know the drill. That's kind of the intention of what I wanted to do here today, is to try to align people with skill sets and or ideas, or just the ability to purchase products, whatever that would look like. Don't care, but we're going to help as best we can. So there you go. And look at you offering your services, as you just scold me for offering my services for nothing. Look at you doing the same. But whatever. That's okay. I get it.
Yes, but let's be fair, right?
Yeah.
Me making introductions and me talking to friends, and then also saying, hey, by the way, do you still have this product? Do you still sell, right? I mean, you know, at my core, I'm always closing. ABC, baby. Always
ABC, baby. That's exactly right.
So if I can help a small business and always be closing, fucking win-win.
That's a big win. June does not look like you're able to connect, but you can request again. Finally, that burp I've been waiting for. My goodness. You know when you get one stuck and you can't get rid of it? That was hovering in the diaphragm for a while. That's a personal problem. I won't share any more details with you. All right. Anyway, that was great, y'all. Thank you everybody for being. I just love this community so much. You guys just every single time, you know, it's just your kindness. And by the way, we are listing all the small businesses that have joined us here today in Discord. So if you haven't yet joined our Discord, that's a great spot to be able to come in and kind of help celebrate and or prop up small businesses in our country. Right, as always, we should be doing that by local any chance you get. And I understand the circumstances there, but in particular now. All right, let's see. Let's back to some of the data. In a survey of small to mid-sized business owners, 39% of respondents reported using AI solutions at their organization. AI adoption is higher than average among businesses in entertainment, 57%, food, 44%, and hospitality, 39%. Over half small to mid-sized businesses believe that AI has the potential to generate additional revenue for their organization. I would agree. For me, it's a love-hate relationship with AI, because it can be a threat to the things that I do professionally. But I'm a better writer than AI. I'm going to leave it right there. Okay. The benefits of using AI as reported by small business owners include improved efficiency and productivity, optimized operations, and better data to support decision-making. Nearly half of small business owners claim they lack the resources and expertise needed for the successful implementation of AI. And this speaks to the larger question, right? So our friends, they're in the crafting, but you may not be an accountant, or you may not understand marketing, or you may not have, promotional chops or business execution. These are things that larger corporations who have resources hire for. When you're a small business owner, you literally need to be the jack of all trades. You got to do everything. Bookkeeping, on that note, you don't want me anywhere near a spreadsheet, which is why Obi's my friend. So those are examples, right? Those are examples. And this community approach to helping support small businesses is exactly the kind of point here. Aligning people's skill set, just like we talk about on the political front, about doing something to defend democracy, whether it be, helping a friend in need or whatever. Similarly, when you're trying to support a small business, how amazing would it be for somebody to walk into their store in Branson and say, you know what? I've got this network of craft shows that I'm affiliated with. I'd love to have your products there. Or I have a logistics company, and you know what? I go to these small mom and pop stores all across the Southeast every single day in the Midwest. And if I can have 25 or 30 or 50 of your signs on my truck every day, I'll drop some off. I'm just riffing here, just thinking off the top of my head. Those are things that we can do. Those are the things that our community has done here by aligning people with products and aligning people with missions in particular. So there you go. All right. Any other thoughts on that, Obi?
Oh, sorry. I'm in the kitchen preparing 2 everything bagels with cream cheese and pastrami lox.
Damn.
Because I belong barefoot and looking pregnant in the kitchen. That is my zone. That is my space.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Everybody keep tapping. Appreciate you all very, very much. All right. So this is reporting from NPR. I'm sorry. I think I heard our wife.
She said I was crazy, as if that was breaking news.
Shocker. Tell me something I don't know.
Right.
Okay. So this is reporting from NPR because there's obviously, depending on, we know that the administration doesn't always feel doesn't get warm fuzzies when it comes to NPR and public broadcasting. So this is reporting tariffs are fueling fears of a recession, and what does it take to actually declare one? So I want to go through that exercise because, as we know, small businesses, because they employ millions, half of the American population is employed by small businesses, and they've created nearly 22 million jobs, which is 45% of all jobs created in the last 25 years have been created by small businesses. So, and we know the volatility, the sensitivity to market conditions, and how the impact, how it overly impacts small businesses. New data from the Commerce Department shows that the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, contracted at an annual rate of 0.3% in the first quarter of the year, after growing at a solid pace of 2.4% in the final months of 2024. Data that they did not want to go public, but it did. That decline, it says, was largely due to a surge in imports as businesses and consumers rushed to stock up on products before the administration's tariff took effect in early April. Now, again, self-inflicted, ballistic podiatry, shooting one's self in one's foot. Sure, a lot of it has to do with exactly that. Manufacturers, retailers, small businesses stocking up, buying in a lot of inventory because they know that the cost of goods, as we now know that cargo vessels are in various ports or on the way to various ports around the country, those products are now going to be subject to tariffs, right? So however, whether you want to call it artificially inflating or overinflating, it's irrelevant. We know that's true, okay? Google searches for the term recession surged in early April. The Conference Board data shows that consumer confidence fell in April to its lowest level since the start of COVID-19, while the proportion of consumers anticipating a recession over the next 12 months rose to a 2-year high. What does being in a recession mean, and how would you know if the U.S. has entered one? Here's how the process works. A recession refers to a period of decline in economic activity. It's one of the 4 stages of the economic cycle: growth, peak, contraction or recession, and trough. Some analysts use a rough rule of thumb to identify recessions: 2 consecutive quarters of decline in a nation's GDP, the broadest measure of economic activity. But the National Bureau of Economic Research, or NBER, the nonpartisan nonprofit research organization that has become the semi-official arbiter of recessions, describes a recession as, quote, significant decline in economic activity that is spread across the economy and that lasts more than a few months. Who declares a recession? The NBER's Business Cycle Dating Committee, made up of top American economists, has been declaring the beginning and end of cycles since its creation in 1978. There is no fixed rule about how long NBER takes to identify a recession after a decline has started. We wait long enough so that the existence of a peak or trough is not in doubt. Peak or trough is in doubt, and until we can assign an accurate peak or trough date. What happens in a recession? A shrinking economy can cause a cascade of stressful ripple effects, including lower employment, deteriorating stock market results, and higher borrowing costs for consumers and companies, according to Fidelity. So think about those first two. Lower employment. So as the unemployment rate goes up, that means fewer Americans are employed. So that would be lower employment, and then deteriorating stock market. We've seen that. And then higher borrowing costs, right? So interest rates remaining high, which is a good thing. It's a method that the Fed can use to kind of cool the economy a little bit. But if they remain high, it still costs more to borrow. So those three things working together are indicators of a recession. For example, people who may want to spend as much, people may not want to spend as much, which can impact the business they would otherwise support, which can lead to layoffs and in turn harm companies' performance in the stock market, further fueling the cycle. How rare are recessions? Various factors can jolt the economy into a recession, from unexpected events like pandemics and wars, for example, to asset bubbles bursting, to excessive inflation or deflation. So they talk about, if you ever seen the movie The Big Short, it talks about the housing bubble. That's what they're referring to. So loans that were granted that was predatory lending, they called them ninja loans, no income, no job. This was a thing that they actually did. It's like, again, no income, no job. And those loans were offered to people who had the dream of buying a house, right? And were so excited that they could get into a house, they didn't even realize what they were signing. So at a certain point in the life of their loan, the interest rates jumped exponentially and people couldn't afford their mortgage payments. So that's part of the bubble. They talk about the tech bubble, the same kind of thing. And then the bubble bursts and we had what happened in 2008. The U.S. has experienced 34 recessions since 1857, according to NBER data. Since WW2, the average length of a recession has been 11.1 months. According to business publication Kiplinger, the post-World War II U.S. has averaged a recession every 6.5 years. So there are indicators, and I think we would be naive to say that we're not on the edge of things like this. So we haven't even really experienced the significance of the tariffs. Don't forget, Independence Day, Liberation Day was April 2nd. Next week, we will get the inflation rate. It tends to lag, of course, so we'll get the inflation rate from April. And all indicators are that inflation rate is going to go above 3.5%, so potentially a 1-point jump. Now, the stock market rallied a little bit yesterday because of the trade deal that Trump bragged about. Then he lost the press because of the Pope. I'm sure he's happy about that. That was a positive indicator for the stock market. Now, the stock market is not the only indicator, as we just discussed, and it's, again, the people who have capital are the ones that truly invest in the stock market. And that's why, again, I want to play this statement because I think it's really important that the President of the United States telling people to buy. I don't think I even have it anymore. Yeah, here you go. Just remember this. Your president looking out for you. Just remember this.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. If we get that. If you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. If it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine.
So again, remember we talk about this in corporate capitalism. The people when we talk about wealth accumulating at the top, it's stays there. It doesn't circulate. It's not about wealth disappearing. It's just transferring to the people who have capital. So when the market dips, you worked in Wall Street, Obi, so just jump in if I miss something here. When the market dips, the people who are in position to respond to that dip are the people with capital, the people who are already investing, which means they enrich themselves. So wealth lost doesn't disappear. It just transfers to the people who have more capital. Did I get that pretty much right?
It goes from individual investors to institutional investors.
Yeah.
Which includes, to be fair, which includes Fidelity, Scudder, Putnam, Charles Schwab, all of the houses that offer investing services, E-Trade, right? They are institutional investors. They also benefit. Now, you can argue that the net benefit of them being able to buy large quantities on the dip helps their individual investors. It just helps them much slower. Their benefits are instant. Ours, as people who have mutual funds or 401k, it's a cycle, right? Where we lose money in a year, it's probably going to take us 3 to 5 to get that money back, to get back to par, to even, right? So, yeah.
So I want to, you guys may be familiar with the TikTok creator. It's That's Rich. I love his stuff. He's he's great. Really, really brilliant guy. You probably know him. He generally does videos walking with his phone outdoors, got a beard. You've seen him. Whole thing, like the small business, the desire and or interest for people who wanted to go into small business for themselves was part of the American dream. Was part of the American dream. And that is just so not even a thing anymore in this oligarchy for a very long time. It is still appealing for people who come from countries who don't have access to the things that we have here. So there's still that element, right, of the American dream. But I like the way Rich breaks this down. So I'm just going to play this for you and then we'll talk about it.
Understand why MAGA Republicans resent federal workers. Federal workers are highly educated Americans who until recently had secure jobs doing what they loved in exchange for a middle-class life and retirement. They were living the American dream we were all promised as kids. Go to school, work hard, and have the American dream. But for millions of Americans, that dream never came true, leaving them bitter and looking for someone to blame. So who's to blame? Just look at this chart here for a second. This is the balance of power of Congress over time. After the Great Depression, from 1934 to 1996, the entire time Trump claims America was great the first time.
It's a really great point. Just listen to this point. It's great.
Democrats controlled the House for 58 out of the 62 years and the Senate for 52 out of those 62 years. And they used those decades of power and control to build labor unions, to guarantee good pay and benefits, to protect your rights as a worker, and to guarantee a safe workplace. The work Democrats did over those 60 years is the definition of the American dream we have today. And we did it all with a significantly lower economic output because the wealth created from that economic output was taxed fairly. But Republican billionaires fought it the entire time. And after 60 years of losing, they knew they needed a new war, which is why in the 70s they created the Heritage Foundation, which then propped up an actor named Ronald Reagan. And they gave him a policy playbook called the Mandate for Leadership, which was basically the 1980 version of Project 2025. And Reagan immediately went to work for them with the trickle-down Reaganomics bullshit that destroyed the middle class and exploded the national debt, with the demonization of the federal workforce, and with new culture wars rooted in class, race, gender, orientation, and religion. And they paired this all with a war on information because they knew none of this bullshit would stick to a well-informed electorate. So they came after history books, universities, and news outlets. And they did all of this for one very simple reason. It's cheaper to feed you misinformation than it is to feed you and your family. Now, after 40 years, millions of hungry, misinformed citizens look at immigrants, homeless veterans, and federal employees as if they're the enemy, all while Republican leaders and their billionaire donors live out their distorted version of the American dream, paid for with the wealth generated by the American working class. I understand.
I think that pretty much sums it up. That's Rich is the creator that on TikTok. You can find him on TikTok and Instagram. And I think something he really pointed out there, so I couldn't show the graph, but he talked about how the references that the MAGA movement makes make America great again. They're pointing to a time in history where it was 50 years that Democrats controlled Congress. And during that time was an economic boom. Now, we can certainly debate the fact that their civil rights wasn't paid attention to like it should have been. But again, civil rights progress was made under Democrats. That's a conversation we can also have. But the growth of labor unions, taxing the rich. Remember, we discussed this many, many times. During that period, the growth of the suburbs, the growth of the middle class, the growth of small businesses, independent family-owned businesses happened when corporate taxes were in the 50 percentile and the top marginalized tax rate was 90%. So when they're talking about Make America Great Again, right, even though they've never really been able to define what era, some people say 1776, who the fuck knows what they're smoking. Anywho, they're talking about that era that was dominated by democratic policies, dominated by the creation and expansion of labor unions, dominated by tax policies that taxed the rich, dominated by investments in infrastructure, dominated by investments in education and the middle class. We have a model. We have a model that supported small businesses and the growth of the middle class. So sure, let's make America great again. Let's go back to that time when we tax the rich at 90% top marginalized and corporate tax rates are 50, 55%. Maths. Simple maths.
Yeah, baby. Say it.
That's right.
Say spreadsheet. Say it. I dare you. Say spreadsheet.
Wait, I'll say it. Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody keep tapping. And we're here to support small businesses today. Blooming Pottery, how are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. Nice to see you. How's it going?
You too. Yeah, it's a rainy day here.
Same here.
It's been raining. Oh, so annoying. I just wanted to thank you for doing this. I slept in late and then I saw it like 10 o'clock. I was like, oh no, I missed it. So I'm glad I was able to catch you still.
Well, glad you're here. I'm assuming you have a small business you'd like to talk about.
Actually, I have two. I have two small businesses.
Go for it. Awesome.
So the first one is my own personal one, Blooming Pottery. I make pottery and I sell it. I go around to different craft fairs in my area. Last year, I did about like 17 shows, and then this year I'm probably going to do about the same. The year before was about 24, and it's very draining. I don't know if you've set up for any of these craft shows or anything like that, but you got to bring all your supplies with you. You got to set up the tent. You got to interact with people all day long. You're sleep deprived from making all of your stuff if that's what you're doing. And yeah, so I've been making pottery since I was a teenager. So that's about like 20 years or so. And then teaching for about, I'd say about like 10 to 15 years on and off. And so I started another business with my friend Amy, where we are now teaching in our local community. And a lot of our supplies, people don't realize, come from all over the world. Our clay actually comes from Canada. The materials we use to mix our glazes come from all over the world, different mines. We have no control over whether or not a mine shuts down, and then we're just out of that material, or whether or not these tariffs are going to affect us. And then on top of that, because we're selling something that's considered a luxury item, it's not a necessity for everybody to buy. And we're seeing like sales not pick up as much, especially during certain times. I think Christmas last year was slower than it was the year before. I've been seeing personally with my shows, like kind of like the same thing with your previous guests, where right during like the peak of COVID, when people were allowed to go out again, they were willy-nilly with their money. They were spending it. They couldn't spend it fast enough. And it just slowly kind of decreased. And yeah, I just think that this year is kind of worrying everybody. We have a lot of conversations with the other vendors talking about how they are worried about this economy and vendors talking about this economy.
Pottery was the first one you mentioned.
That's my personal business. Yes. And
gotcha.
Then,
do you Do you have a website or an Etsy store? Or
So I do have an Etsy. Yes, I am on Etsy. The website I keep paying for, but I have not like officially like gone in to take all the photos and make a website. I've gotten a lot of commissions off of Etsy. I kind of use that as my main source, but I do want to switch over to my Studio 89, like where we have an official website and for classes. It's just a matter of having them, like, they'll do one session, let's say they'll learn, and then they might not sign up for the next session. So we want to continue to have people constantly being enrolling in those classes.
yeah, so that recurring income from subscriptions or whatever that might be would be a really good model, right?
Yeah.
So in your pottery business, obviously inventory, the balancing of inventory must be one of those things, right? Like as I'm a small business owner, I know Obi is as well. I don't have to deal with inventory. It's like, it's just like that's my inventory that's up in there. So that must be a challenge. So you're probably unsure of what the next couple of months is going to look like as you're trying to find that sweet spot, making sure you have enough inventory, but not too much inventory, right?
I think with pottery, you can kind of never have enough inventory.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. Sure.
Yeah, it's a matter of whether or not, like, every time I go to a show, I keep hitting a wall at like my max of how much I'm making per show. And I think that's really where I'm like, what is it? How can I get past like making like, I can't get past making $2,000 in a weekend. Like I want to be making like 5. I mean, like 10 would be amazing, but like at least $5,000 because I'm putting at least, $1,000 for each show into it, whether or not it be show fees or materials or
Sure.
food, gas, whatever that stuff is. So.
You said you're going to do roughly 17 shows this year, like the summer month, the craft show season?
It's actually less in the summer. It's more the fall that people are buying because they're buying for Christmas. So.
Oh, sure. Do you want to let folks know where you do that without maybe getting too personal, but maybe let folks know where okay.
It is what it is at this point.
Sure.
So otherwise no one will know where I am. So I live in New York. I'm in like upstate New York. So I travel in Connecticut. I go to Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I've done my first show in Maryland. That was last weekend. So that was fun. So our personal studio is in Highland, New York. So if anybody's in that area in particular, we're actually expanding, which is great, but it's very nerve-wracking because now we have to actually pay rent. So before my business partner owned the building, and we were like, our business model was for the first year, which we just technically opened in January. For the first year, we weren't going to pay rent, and now in July we have to start paying rent. So we're in the middle of like transitioning over, which is great because we're going to be able to expand and have like almost double the capacity. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking knowing that we owe someone money at the end of the month,
I get that. You want to say maybe one more time, plug your two businesses and where folks
Sure.
can find you on the interwebs again.
So Blooming Pottery, you can find me on Etsy, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and then Studio 89, also Facebook. Studio 89 is in Highlands, and you can find us at Studio 9 HV. That's our website. I can actually do like we have our little postcard here.
Let me give you the big screen. Hold on, let me give you the big screen real quick so you can do that. There you go. There you go.
That way you can see there's a little QR code. So Studio 89, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and also we have our own website. So you can sign up for classes on our website itself. And we're in the town of Highland, which is just like a tiny little town right outside of the city. So about an hour and a half north of the city. So we really want people to come to our community. We're filling that niche. There's not a lot of stuff going on. There's like 2 karate classes there and a theater thing, but there's nothing to physically do with your hands in that town. So the kids classes are great. You can do like a sip and spin. You can do an anniversary class, whatever your heart's desire. It's just like trying to get people to play with clay,
I've seen a few folks in the comments say that your Etsy store may be down.
It's so I don't know what it is. It's up. I don't know like if the QR code is like messing things up or whatever, but I don't know how I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people send me messages and I've sent stuff recently, so I'm not
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
If you're having a problem, just send me a message and I'll send you a direct link to it. How about that?
There you go. Well, thank you for jumping in today.
Thank you
for
so
being
much,
a small.
Steve.
Oh, it's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
I listen to you every day, and I learn something new every day, and you give me hope for sure.
I appreciate you saying that. You give us hope for being a dedicated 2-time small business owner. I appreciate you, friend. Thanks for being here. Have a good day.
Thank
See you later.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's great. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
As we're working.
Love people that throw mud. That's like such a cool fucking thing, right?
Seriously.
I've attempted many times and failed, but with a smile on my face.
Right. So what you're saying is that you know your strengths.
Yeah, it's not throwing mud unless I'm actually throwing mud at people in like a mud fight. But
yeah, that's fun too.
Nobody does that because the 70s are over, right? Kids don't go outside and play in the mud anymore. So,
do you remember standing by the edge of the road in front of a giant mud puddle and hoping that cars would go through the mud puddle and cover you with water? Did anybody else ever do that, or was that just me? We used to do that all the time.
No, of course, bro.
No, we did that all the times. Gen X for the win.
Doing a jump into a mud puddle so that everybody, as they watch you on your Schwinn bike, hit the puddle, gets the effect, right? Like it was a movie effect, right? Like it was cool.
Yes, exactly. I used to think when I was little, that would get the young girl's attention. Like if I splashed her from a mud puddle. I learned quickly that was not a really good strategy.
No,
just saying.
But we looked really good in our tough skin jeans from Sears. So,
Totally. We sure did. Absolutely. Good morning, Coach. Speaking of small business owners.
Good morning.
How are you?
Hi, friends. I have not been able to get on and catch a show in like weeks. And so the fact that I got on this morning, and again, you're talking about a subject that is very near and dear to our hearts. Like,
Hi.
It just is. Again, thank you so much, Steve, for bringing up subjects that really need to be talked about.
Yeah, so tell us about yours. You're a small business.
We are a small business. My handy helper in Salt Lake, Utah, our dear friend Eve, helped us get our website set up at myhandyhelper.org. It's beautiful. We are doing such incredible things in our community, helping people out with basically any list of things that they can come up with that I have the butch audacity to accomplish. Today we are going to help move. One of my friends reached out and we're going to move her son, and so got to go pick up the trailer and we're just out here. I always thought the way that I would make a difference in the world would be through some corporation or doing the work of a nurse, doing the work of whatever it might be. And I am actually affecting my community in a much bigger way in going into people's homes and helping them and showing unlimited love and support for whatever situation. And so I'm just really grateful for the opportunities that have been given to us. And like I've always said, we're not looking for handouts. We're just looking for work. So anybody in Salt Lake, we are willing to travel down as far as like Draper and up to about the Layton area. Anyone in Utah will kind of know where that is. And depending on the job, we can travel further. There's just a fee. But yeah, we clean, we organize, we're in the middle. We just laid down a sprinkler system for someone. We're just out here killing it. And I'm so grateful for all the work opportunities that have been given to us.
Well, I remember when we first got to know each other, there was some moments of doubt and pain that you guys were going through. And as we identified the ability for the community to come together to support good causes, and you guys made it very, very clear that you were not looking for handouts, you were looking for friggin' work. And you now got a website, you now got a truck, you now got, making differences. By the way, the link to My Handy Helper is in the link tree that's in my bio. If you want more information, you can find it over there. So, and I know you talked about you guys don't do a very good job of taking your damn flowers either. So take your damn flowers for the impact that you're making, not only on your families, but on your community as well. So that's an order. Take your damn flowers, or I'll send Eve after you. And you guys know you don't want that happening.
I'm terrified of that woman. She has quickly become one of our closest friends. She, I know I heard last night, I actually have beef with her because apparently she's setting up websites for other people. I thought that was an exclusive offer for me, but her and I need to speak. That's something I'm going to work out with her. But yeah, she, she did it.
She's
for
listening.
Me.
She's like this. She's like this.
She's listening and
watching
watching.
I'm watching you.
That truly has been, and I think Eve also needs to take her goddamn flowers. That woman.
Yeah, she should. Thank you for saying that.
She is not just creating a difference for me. She's creating a difference for so many people in this world, and really affecting positive change. And for anybody out there, just a simple, it doesn't always go like this, but back when was it? It was Link's birthday, so it would have been end of February, beginning of March. We couldn't even pay our rent. Literally could not pay our rent. I got on this live and I was just super vulnerable and scared and worried. And I think being open and vulnerable and being willing to speak about the difficulties that were in our lives at the moment, we made a choice that day that we were going to really put our hearts and souls into this, and we have worked our asses off. I'm down 20 pounds. Like, we are working, quite literally working our asses off. And we have paid rent for, let's see, it would have been April and May ahead of time because of the amount of work that we have been able to with our business, with our work ethic, because we really do. We get in and we don't fuck around. We just work. And I'm just so grateful, even in this tough times, that this business that we are creating is providing for our family. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So.
Well, enough said there, friend. So one more chance, one more time, plug your business, please.
Yes, My Handy Helper, our beautiful website by Eve is www. I still have to say it. We grew up saying it. It is what it is.
Millennial thing.
myhandyhelper.org. We charge $30 an hour per person that we bring, which is way cheaper than most of the people in our market. Because our idea is that we want to provide community for those who may or may not have community. And when we go in and clean, we don't expect people to clean before we get there. We want you to show up as you need the help. And we have the truck and trailer. We haul junk. I actually know the lady at the Salt Lake City landfill by name. Her name is Veronica, sweetest lady. Because literally she sees me coming and she's like, hi, Stacy. Hi, My Handy Helper. Because we're just, we're constantly out there hauling things away from people, helping people, getting people,
yards, getting people ready for spring.
I'm a CNA. We step in and we've helped people with things at home to just get them set up to be able to live at their home more easily and different things. So basically anything you can think of, if I can do it, I'll do it.
I'm going to bring up Chad because Chad was up earlier, but Chad is doing not the same thing, but something similar, helping out communities in need. So Chad, while our friends are from My Handy Helper here, do you want to take this opportunity to kind of talk about your biz one more time?
Sure. What we do is we try to create that connection piece, because what our community is suffering from is loneliness, because COVID was a perfect example of what isolation and loneliness can how it can affect us, right? Because
can I interrupt? I gotta go. I gotta start traveling with my car. I'm listening in the comments, but we've got to get to a job. But I want to hear what Chad. I'm going to listen. I'll just be in the comments. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. We love you. See you later. Bye.
Yep. And so, like the U.S. Surgeon General said in 2023 that loneliness and isolation can affect your heart, increase dementia, stroke risk. I mean, all these, a multitude of health risks that it's as simple as creating that connection piece that affects us all, that our business Muse with a Friend helps create for people. And because I have some other aspirations, like this summer I'm doing a half Ironman. And so, I mean, as much as I love helping people, I'm also aware that I need to be healthy as well, right? Because
Indeed, you do.
yep, like we only can give as much as our cup is overflowing. Because
That's exactly right.
If my cup is over,
that's exactly right.
yep. Because if my cup is overflowing, I would love to give everything that I have to anyone, no matter who they are. But in order to do that, I need to make myself healthy. And for those who didn't know, I suffered a traumatic brain injury 21 years ago, almost 22 years ago, by getting hit by a truck, and blah 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 blah, coma, 6 years or 6 weeks in a coma, 120 days in the hospital, and blah 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 blah. So, to summarize this is Muse with a Friend is slowly breaking that that isolation and that barrier of people who are not aware that, hey, it's all right to talk about emotions. It's all right to say, hey, I need to talk to people, right? And it is through talking with people and interacting that we can help create more inclusive society.
I love that so much, Chad. Again, Meals with a Friend.
Yes.
The website is also in the link tree that is in my bio. Take your flowers, my friend. You're doing good work. I appreciate you, buddy.
And
you got it.
Okay. And Eve, and one more thing, Eve, I guess she created the website as well. So yeah, just as well. I mean, yeah. So actually, I love her, and she's amazing, and all good things about her. Okay, so have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate you, friend. Have a great day. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. No, Eve, we're not going to stop. That's the way it goes. Bring Francis.
Yeah, let's not stop loving on Eve, shall we?
Agreed. Hello, Francis.
Good morning.
Hello, Francis.
I just want to say something really quickly. So since I have been doing lives, Francis, Cookie, Greg in particular have been there from the beginning of the Mod Wars. So you friend, need to take your flowers for helping us build here what we've built.
Here.
Built. Thank you.
Do not make me cry on a Friday morning, Steve.
Tough shit. Too bad. Get over it.
And she does so while fighting fucking dinosaurs in her front yard. That
good point.
in and of itself is amazing.
Good point.
They're in my backyard. I'm up here, first of all, because I want everyone to make sure that we're sharing the live. We're doing all the things, get those fingers to tapping. But I also, I've had to come in and out because of capitalism. But I don't know if anybody's up here representing strictly service industry business, small business.
Do it.
As a lot of you know, I am a speech language pathologist. Right now I work school-based, but for quite a while, and I still do on occasion, do home health for pediatrics. So that means that I'm going house to house, relying on weekly sessions with people, which has its ups and its downs. It's great, right? You have the opportunity to make a better income because all of that income is basically coming to you. But it also relies heavily on other people. So if you are, I just want to give some suggestions to people that do patronize small businesses who are service based. The biggest thing I can think of is make sure that if you have to cancel a session or an appointment with someone that relies on just their industry, make sure that you do it well in advance, because a lot of times that'll give them time to maybe put somebody else in that slot or rearrange their day. If you cancel at the last minute, we all know that there are situations where there are emergencies and you have to cancel at the last minute, but if at all possible you can cancel early and in advance, then please do so. Make sure that you're running on time, because their minutes are literally their money. So if you're running late to something, it's going to throw off their entire day. Word of mouth. Like, for instance, my particular service, I can't work everywhere because I have to be licensed in the state where I reside, as well as state as where I provide service. Since I do teletherapy, I provide service right now in California. So I'm licensed here in Florida because I reside here, unfortunately. And then I provide service in California. So I literally cannot work outside of those states unless I'm providing maybe just like a consultation I could do, but direct services I cannot provide. And a lot of people who are service-based are obviously locally based. So word of mouth is something that's really important for them. So if you love someone who provides a service, just looks like Allie Beth in our comments, she's a hairstylist, she provides a service. If you love them, if you really enjoy them, the best thing that you can do is tell people about them. Because the word of mouth is really usually their bread and butter.
Yeah, the referral model is so important, right, for small business owners. And I'm glad I saw that comment as well, Francis, about hairstylists, right? If you're gonna miss your appointment, that's money taken out of their pocket that they could have filled that spot, right? And just anybody who provides a service for those kinds of things, just be courteous. Just make sure that you're following the rules, whether it be a massage therapist or a person who does anything. Just don't. If you have to cancel, please give ample notice and then share the love, so to speak.
Exactly, 100%.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you, friend.
As are you. Love you, OB.
Love you too. See you later, friend. Ready? Here you go.
Wee.
Okay. This has been great, you guys. As a small business owner who has to be available for potential clients, I got to go do some of that a little earlier than I thought today. But this has been wonderful. I'm so glad we had an opportunity to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I hope this was meaningful to people. I think there's, again, just the numbers don't lie. The lifeblood of the American economy is the small business owner and the entrepreneur. Remember the division between entrepreneurial capitalism and corporate capitalism. And we talk about the tenets of fascism often. And when you see corporate power being promoted and enhanced, that takes away from the actual, like I said, life's blood of the American economy. It's entrepreneurs, it's people who work to support them, it's all the ancillary businesses around them. So when given the opportunity, please consider buying local. Obi, any final thoughts, friend?
I'm going to say this every single time I get the opportunity. Our host is a small business owner. He sometimes steps away from capitalism to put on these lives at his own expense. He is not getting the type of creator funding that a lot of the grifters out there in TikTok are getting. He doesn't pay to kick people. He doesn't pay to read comments. But yet hundreds and sometimes well over 1,000 of us show up every day. Are you contributing in ways that you can? Are you tapping the screen, which is for free? If you have extra money, are you a subscriber either here on the TikTok platform or through his website? What are you doing to help this community? Because I know what Steve is doing. And I know that these struggles that he talks about are real. He won't take his flowers. He won't ask for help. Well, I don't give a shit that he doesn't want to ask for help, because my job as the angry empath is to be there for my brother. So if you could help Steve out, it would be really important important. We're all trying to do what we can do for the community, you know. So step up, help Steve out, please, right? And if you're wondering, the answer is yes, I am helping Steve out. And what that looks like is none of your fucking business, but just know that it happens and that it's going to continue to happen because Steve is family and I am all about what I say I'm about. So help out where you can, help out if you can. If you cannot, come here, put a comment in, tap that screen, share the live, do what you can. The service and quite frankly, the therapeutic nature of the things that Steve and his co-host provide are beyond what he's being compensated for. This, what he is doing right now, is a small business. This is not just him on a social media platform providing stuff because he just so has to, you know, feed his ego. This is not about his ego. He's not here grifting. He's here because he believes this is something he's responsible for as a citizen, as someone that understands what's at stake. So let's go ahead and support and show him love, whatever it looks like. Again, he also accepts baked goods. So if you got some baked goods at home, feel free to send those. DM him. He'll be happy to receive baked goods. Now, I'm not going to be judgy, but if you make adult baked goods, he may also like those as much as non-adult baked goods. We don't judge. We listen.
One may
judge.
assume.
Yes.
Exactly.
Anyway, I love you.
I love you too, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And thank you for being my friend.
Back at you, bro. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, everybody, for this today. Hopefully, again, just as an opportunity to really maybe shift your buying habits, if possible. If there's a way, thank you, Kelly. If there's a way that you can support a small business in your neighborhood or in your community, or one that you've been perhaps introduced to today, please consider doing so. Again, everybody's circumstances are unique, and I understand the needs. Why delivery services and why Amazon and why Walmart and Target online. I get it. I'm sensitive to that. I'm just saying, if there's an opportunity that presents itself and you can help support one of the creators and or small business owners that you were introduced to today, please do so. Thank you all for your kindness, for your support and your generosity. It's always appreciated, never expected, but always appreciated. I do struggle taking my flowers. I'm trying to get better at it, but I thank all of you for that. Again, thank you, friends. We're going to raid our friend Emma. You guys all know Emma. Emma's running for Congress. Somebody's out there trying to make a difference. We'll be back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Programming note. No Facts After Dark tonight. I'm sorry, because I'm going to go watch my daughter sing. Talk about giving back. I love you guys. Love you, mods. Thank you again, Obi. Everybody.